What up? What up? It's your boy Julio G. I am going to start this YouTube channel for all my Class A drivers out there. So basically, I'm going to go over the steps for you beginning today, and as I make and progress more videos, you'll have a better understanding of some of the things you need to do in order to get your commercial driver's license in California or a CDL in the state of California. Just a bit of background with myself, right? So I got into the logistics and transportation when I was 18 years old. I am now 39. I've made a career out of this. It's been very fulfilling. This is what pays my bills. It feeds my family, that sort of thing. So I thought it'd be a good YouTube channel to kind of put in all the steps on some of the things that you have to do. I'll try to break it down as much as I can, and obviously for some of you who have been in the industry, if you eventually run into this video, if I'm always open to feedback, just please put it in the comments, and I'll make sure I address some of those comments as they begin to come in, which I'm sure they will be. When I got into it, I got my Class A. I actually didn't go to school. What I did was I was very, very, very blessed, very fortunate that my dad had been a truck driver already for 20 years plus, that sort of thing. So for me, just going into the summer, I spent a lot of summers with my dad in the truck. He basically taught me what everything was, all the names of the parts and things like that. That's how I kind of fell into it. So finally, when I turned 18, as I was not sure what to do with my life, I decided to just, go ahead and get my Class A. I honestly saw myself as just a truck driver for the rest of my life. Not nowadays in 2023, that's not a bad career. I mean, UPS is now paying drivers $150,000+ a year. I know tons of other companies out there who are paying their drivers $100,000 plus a year as well. So it is not a bad time to become a career truck driver. So if that's something, again, that interests you, you like being out on the road, not constantly being in an office with a boss bugging you and stuff like that, this may be for you. It's not really for everybody. Obviously, again, maybe a video that I can make down the road is what are the pros and cons. Maybe you don't want to spend a lot of nights out on the road, and sometimes that happens. It may be Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's holidays. You may have to be out on the road. Again, that's why I say maybe this is not for everybody. Okay, but again, that's maybe a video for the future. So I guess in progressing here, again, just to tell you a little bit more about myself. Yeah, I did get my license when I was 18, 19 is when I first got it. I really didn't use it right away. I kind of just laid low, but thought it'd be a good idea to have it. When I finally decided to get my hands wet in driving, I started off with a bobtail truck, a 26-footer, even though I had a Class A. And then I would drive plumbing material all over Los Angeles and stuff like that. It was a 26-foot box truck. They had a 26-foot flatbed as well. Things like that. Did that for about 6 months or so. Then I transitioned over into I moved into the fencing industry. So now I was delivering things like chain link fabric, privacy chain link, pipe, 21-footers, 24-footers. I was delivering all this same thing in a 26-foot little flatbed. It was a 3-axle 26-foot flatbed. 3 axles means, for those of you who don't know, who are still getting new into this, it has three different sets of tires, right? So you have your steering tires in the front, and then you have your 2 double tandem axles in the back. Tandems can also go on trailers, but in this case, it's the back of the 26-foot flatbed truck. I strap down with nylon straps. Pipe is very heavy, so you know, you want to make sure you're strapping it down secure and things like that. Once again, I did that for another 6 months before they finally let me get my hands wet into the tractor trailer combinations. I did that for about maybe 6 months to a year. Then I got into they had a 30-foot trailer, a 48-foot trailer. Those were kind of the two different ones that I started to use. So once I got into that, you know, did a lot of driving, drove, I mean, pretty much all over the state of California, Southern California, Northern California, you know, places like Riverside. I even went to Blythe one time to deliver to a prison, a full truckload of chain link fabric and pipe. I had to go up as far as Pismo Beach, Atascadero, places like that as well. So did that for about 6, 7, 8 years with the company I was working with, the fencing company, until I finally got the opportunity to move up. So yeah. All right. So I want to fall into this, into the, you know, how do you obtain your license in the state of California? Obviously, there's multiple ways of doing this. I mean, you can get signed up with the school, pay some money, things like that. But I'm just going to give you like the basic requirements that are actually in the state of California. What I would say, just from experience from other drivers that I've spoken to and things like that, because again, I didn't do it the conventional way. You know, you want to make sure that if you're going to do it through school, make sure they're training you with good equipment. Okay, you don't want to you know, pay, you know, $2,000-$3,000 to get trained in a little automatic, you know, 30-foot trailer. You know, it has to be a little bit more realistic. Okay, things like that. So you know, maybe paying a little bit more wouldn't be a bad idea, but as long as you're being trained in a full trailer, you know, like a 48 or 53. I know automatics are sort of a thing nowadays, but if you can prevent that, it'd be better if you learn how to drive with a stick shift truck. You know, I think eventually all you're going to see is automatics, which is fine. But nowadays, you know, if you restrict yourself to just automatics, you know, you may lose out on an opportunity to get a job somewhere. Okay. So just some recommendations before you start a school or something like that. Also, don't sign any contracts with, like, you know, these big company chain names out there, because they'll lock you up, you know, for several years with them, and then that's actually not cool. You know, you'll be in debt with them, you know, for $10,000-$15,000, and then you have to work 2-3 years to pay that off. I don't really think that's fair either. So just basically do your research is what I would say. Okay. So again, if you're ready to make a career, become a truck driver, here's what I think you should consider in order to obtain your commercial driver's license, okay, in the state of California. So before you can apply for a CDL, you must attend truck driving school, right? I already went over that. You must go through the series of tests, and then those tests will allow you to get a permit, right? So that's what you want to do. Applicants have a standard in California of non-commercial Class C driver's license. In order to begin the process, once you've completed this process, the online CDL application, you'll need to visit the DMV office and go through the following checklist. Okay, so the first thing is submit a 10-year history road check. That's important because they want to make sure that you have a clean record, no DUIs and stuff like that. Submit a completed medical examination report. What you need to do for that, and this is very important, you can't just go to any medical clinic, get a physical, and tell them to fill out the form that the DMV requires. Now, it has to be a company that is registered with the Department of Transportation or the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Association. Okay, the best way to come about that, to find that type of qualified medical facility is you can just go to Google and you Google National Registry medical facilities, and it's going to take you straight to the website, and then you just type in your zip code, and it'll give you all the medical facilities in that area that are qualified or accepted by the DMV for you in order to go get a medical examiner certificate. With that said, you do have to be in somewhat decent condition these days, physical conditions. Now they're looking at you for high blood pressure. They're looking at you for sleep apnea. They want to make sure you can bend over and touch your toes, have good movement in your joints and stuff like that. Because, driving a commercial vehicle is kind of a serious matter. You're driving an 80,000 pound vehicle. You can easily go out there and kill somebody if you don't know how to operate it, if you don't know how to handle it. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you do decide to make this a career, you do have to meet some basic health requirements. Okay, that's going to be extremely important. Okay, so after you get your medical examiner's certificate done, the next steps is going to be, obviously you must have proof of your valid social security number. You must be able to verify your identity within the acceptable identity documents with the DMV. Present acceptable residency documents if necessary. There is a fee. I think nowadays it's $65 to get it through the state of California. So you do have to submit some fingerprints as well, and then you have to pass a vision exam. If you do wear glasses or contacts, just make sure you bring your prescription, and obviously make sure you bring the glasses or the contacts on when you do the exam at the DMV. Okay, that's extremely important. They'll take a photo of you, and then you have to take some basic tests. It's like air brakes, commercial driver's license knowledge, general knowledge tests, things like that. Okay. Again, I recommend that if you want to do a little bit more research on this, you can go to the DMV directly, and it'll show you the list. In fact, you should go to the DMV, and you should be able to get your manual. And then start studying from there as well too, so you can understand some of the basic requirements. For some of my Spanish speaking folks or other languages, some DMVs in California actually have multiple language CDL or commercial driver's license handbooks. So I encourage you to go in there and get them. Okay, so the next step would be, once you've held your permit for 14 days, you can now apply for what's called the skills test. And all you have to do is call the DMV, make sure that the DMV you're going to allows you to take the CDL test. Okay, so once you book your appointment, then you just before you if you're ready right away, then go in there and take it. But obviously it's a very neurotic process. You have to study for a couple of days so you get familiar with everything. Okay, and then you'll be required to go in there and do a very hands-on driving test. And once you do that, then if you go in and you pass it, you'll have your CDL or commercial driver's license, and you can actually begin looking for work and things like that. That's where the whole process would begin, that I said that don't sign any long-term contracts with companies and stuff like that, because although they'll train you and pay you for you to take your test, and they'll provide a truck and stuff like that, there are other options that could be better for you. So everybody has a different situation, right? So if you can afford, or you're okay with being tied up in a contract for 2 or 3 years, then hey, more power to you, right? I don't think necessarily that every option that's out there is a one shoe fit all type of situation. So it really is more of a matter of how much time can you spend doing it. Some people can go out there and get this course done in a matter of weeks, and then start driving. And then there's other people who might have to spread it out and in a couple of weeks, because they have to continue working at their current job and go for only a few hours every day. So again, everybody's situation is different. So again, I encourage you to do your research and see what works better for you, so then that way you can progress from there. Okay. So yeah, as of now, that'll be the initial video for today. You know, if there's any comments, please leave them on the bottom, and please subscribe to Paradigm Accretion, where our videos are going to be educational, and we're here to teach you and educate you and have some fun with it. Okay, talk to you soon. All right, so continuing. Basically, wanted to cover a couple things just to have a maybe a stronger grasp and understanding on the process of getting your commercial driver's license in the state of California. So I'm kind of going to break it down this way for you. Basically go over what the CDL test is, the medical documentation requirements, the CDL things, the CDL disqualifications, basically anything that could disqualify you, and just some other commercial driver's license rules. And then I'll also go just briefly touch over the difference between what a international registration plan is and the international fuel tax agreement, and how that applies to commercial drivers. Okay, so I guess the first thing to start is who really needs a CDL, right? Who needs a commercial driver's license? Any vehicle that it has a gross vehicle rating or GVWR of 26,000 pounds and one or more, that's considered a CDL, a commercial vehicle. You would require a CDL. Okay, so just before I go any further, just want to make sure that, again, this is the channel is Paradigm Accretion, where we're going to teach you patterns of development and success. That's what we're here for. Okay, so make sure you subscribe to Paradigm Accretion. Okay, so yeah, so moving a little bit further with the weight, right? So any vehicle that's over 26,001 pounds would be considered a commercial vehicle. A vehicle designed, used, or maintained for carrying more than 10 passengers, including a driver, that's also considered a commercial vehicle. For that, you wouldn't necessarily need a Class A. That'll be more of a Class B. But again, I'll dig deep into that for you a little bit later. And again, any vehicle with 3 axles, a 3-axle vehicle weighing more than 6,000 pounds. So, okay, you must have a commercial driver's license when towing a vehicle or trailer, which again has a GVWR, gross vehicle weight rating, of 10,001 pounds or more. Transporting hazardous materials is also a reason why you should have your Class A with hazmat endorsements. And transporting hazmat as defined in the state of California by the Health and Safety Code, CHSC 25115 and 25117. Okay, again, you can find all this information in the commercial driver's handbook for the state of California. Okay, horse trailers with living quarters and GVR over 10,000 pounds do require also a commercial Class A driver's license. Restrictions 88 will be added to a driver's license if the truck and the trailer is under 26,000 pounds and more. Okay, so basically, just to kind of explain what Restriction 88 is for you, is Restriction 88 is restricted to combination vehicles with a gross vehicle weight rating of 26,000 pounds and one. Just always keep that in mind. Horse trailers are defined as property carrying vehicles and addition of living quarters to a trailer. And this does not permanently alter a vehicle for human habitation. The living quarters are secondary or incidental to the primary function of the vehicle, which is transporting the property. Okay, so let's break down kind of the steps you getting your permit, right? So the first thing you want to do is the commercial instruction permit has renamed the CLP to comply with the federal regulations of the CLP. The commercial learner's permit, that's what CLP stands for. Applicants, again, must be 18 years of age. That's around the time that I got it. I was about 18 and a couple months when I first got it. A CDL or commercial driver's license will not be issued to an applicant until they have obtained a valid California driver's license. at a minimum allows the applicant to operate a non-commercial Class C motor vehicle. A temporary California driver's license is acceptable. Okay, this will only be valid when accompanied by a CLP holders along with a valid driver's license in the state of California. Okay. Well, this will be valid for a maximum of 180 days when you get your permit. The date of issuance may be renewed for up to an additional 180 days, provided the CLP expiration date does not exceed a period of 1 year. Okay, so let me repeat that. You cannot have a permit out there open for more than 1 year. Otherwise, it will expire. You will have to pay again, and you will have to take any test that you've already passed. Okay, so always keep that in mind, that you do not want to exceed having this for over a year. Now, again, and you know, when I initially started this video, I said that, you know, some people do it at their own pace, and that's fine. But just keep in mind that you definitely do not want to exceed 1 year. Okay, because if you do that, you could potentially have everything get expired, and then you'd have to do it all over again. Just kind of a, you know, pain in the tail. Okay, now just know that there are some additional endorsements out there that you can add to your driver's license when you go and apply for the permit. That's going to be tankers, passengers, and school bus. All these usually they're added to your driver's license as an endorsement, and you usually see that behind the driver's license. Okay, so to break them down a little bit more, an endorsement will show in your driver's license under the letter N. This endorsement holder with a N endorsement is prohibited from operating a tank vehicle unless the tank is empty. The tank must be purged if previously contained hazmat. Okay, holder with the letter P endorsement and or S endorsement is prohibited from operating a commercial vehicle with passengers other than federal, state auditors and inspectors, test examiners, other trainees, and accompanying CDL holders. Okay, holder must wait a minimum of 14 days after the initial CLP issuance to be eligible to take a skills test. The skills test is the physical driving test, right? The 14-day waiting period applies to the classification of upgrades and endorsements, restrictions, changes that requires the skills. Okay, so applicants applying for a commercial driver's license, again, you must be 18, must obtain a California non-commercial Class C driver's license, may drive for hire within California if you are 18 years of age or older, but you cannot engage in interstate commerce until you have your CDL. Must be at least 21 years old to drive a commercial vehicle engaged in interstate commerce or to transport hazmat. Okay, I'll touch that a little bit later, as if you do want to get into driving hazardous materials. Okay, let me see, the next thing I wanted to talk about was a completed commercial driver's license application may be completed online in advance. So all you got to do is go to the DMV portal online, and you can get it all filled out and prepared, so that when you come in to the DMV, you just take your test. So signing this form means you agree to submit to a chemical test to determine alcohol or drug content or of your blood and alcohol when requested by a peace officer. Again, something to keep in mind too is nowadays, since you know having a CDL and driving for any company, you do fall under the federal regulations. So you are not allowed to, you know, take any types of substances, controlled substances such as marijuana, things like that, or be under the influence of those controlled substances when operating any commercial vehicle. When you do have a CDL, you're also open to random drug tests periodically, and it must be done within the moment that they tell you. So any refusal to do this or follow this rule can potentially disqualify you from being a driver, and you could potentially maybe even lose your driver's license, your commercial driver's license. All right, just for some of you who may not know this, you know, you can obviously go to the DMV web page, and you'll be able to see where they have all of their locations where you can actually take your driving test. Now, not all DMVs do this, so just keep in mind, okay? But yeah, if you go to the website, I mean, that's a very select few. Arleta, California; Fremont, California; Mountain View, California; Stockton; Bakersfield; Fresno; Bishop; El Centro, Eureka, Fontana; Gardena, Lancaster, Modesto; Rancho San Diego; Redding; Salinas, San Luis Obispo; Santa Rosa, Santa Teresa, Ukiah, Ventura, West Sacramento, and Yuba City. Okay, so keep in mind those are the places where you can go take a actual CDL driving test. I think that's important. Okay, the next thing I kind of wanted to go over a few points. When you get a driver's license, not a driver's license, when you get a commercial driver's license, you can actually have restrictions on this driver's license. Okay, so these restrictions are all noted by a letter. So I'm just going to go over a few of those for you. So I think it's important that most of you know a lot of this out there. So if you have an E on your brand new commercial driver's license, this means that you cannot drive a manual transmission vehicle. Okay, so if an applicant performs the skills test in a vehicle equipped with an automatic transmission, the DMV must indicate on the CDL, if issued, that the person is restricted from operating a commercial vehicle that's equipped with a manual transmission. So again, if you can avoid going to a school who's going to show you only how to drive automatics, you might want to. Now again, I understand where times are changing, and you know, in the future, maybe there may come a point where all vehicles, all commercial trucks are only going to be automatics. That may be a very that can be possible. But for now, if you can avoid that, try to learn on a manual transmission. It's just more beneficial. Okay, if there is a K on your driver's license, that means intrastate only. That means that you're only allowed to drive in California, and you cannot ever, until you change that endorsement, drive a commercial vehicle out of the state of California. So if the applicant certifies their status as neither non-accepted intrastate or accepted intrastate, the state must indicate on a CDL, if issued, that the person is restricted from operating a CMV in the interstate commerce. Again, that means you can go to Arizona or Utah or Vegas or something like that. Okay. If your driver's license has an L on it, this means no air brake equipped for the CMV. If an applicant can't and does not take or fails the air brake component of the knowledge test or performs a skills test in a vehicle not equipped with air brakes, DMV must indicate that as well too. So for the purposes of skills tests and restrictions, air brakes are included in any braking system operating fully or partial on the air brakes principle. Okay, so again, keep that in mind, please. The next one's going to be an M. If your driver's license, if your CDL license has an M, this means no Class A passenger vehicles. If applicant is applying for P endorsement performing skills test in a passenger vehicle requiring a Class B CDL or DMV, the DMV must indicate on the CDL, if issued, that the person is restricted from operating vehicles with passengers in them. Okay. Once again, just wanted to say this is a new channel, Paradigm Accretion, where we're going to teach you a pattern of development, personal development, personal growth. That's what we want to do here, and we're going to be making fantastic videos like this for you on a daily basis, where just touches on different things that you might want to learn, or different aspects of life on how to develop. We'll also go over some books and things like that from time to time. Okay, so the next item I want to discuss is N. Okay, just go a little bit into details on it. I know I spoke about it earlier. So an N means no Class N B passenger vehicle. If the applicant is applying for a P endorsement What this means essentially is that the endorsement performs a skills test in a passenger vehicle requiring a Class C CDL. DMV must indicate the CDL in the CDL if it was issued to the person that it's restricted from operating a passenger vehicle requiring a Class A or B CDL. Okay. If you have the letter O, that means no tractor trailer. So if an applicant performs a skills test in a combination vehicle for a Class A with a power unit and towed unit connected with a pintle hook or other than a fifth wheel, they must indicate that you didn't actually take a test with a tractor trailer. Again, the reason I'm pointing these out is just, again, you don't want to put these restrictions on yourself just simply because most of the jobs out there do require, tractor trailer combination. So why would you go take a test and not have the tractor trailer endorsement, right? Finally, the last thing I want to discuss is if there's an X. X means no cargo in the CMV tank vehicle. So a commercial learner's permit holder with an N endorsement may only operate an empty tank vehicle and is prohibited from operating any tank vehicle that has previously contained hazmat that has not been purged or of any residue. Okay, those are kind of like the basic restrictions that you can have out there, and just thought I'd share those points with you. All right, so next thing I want to talk to you about is just basically give you the breakdown of the different tests. Once again, this is Paradigm Accretion, the channel where we're trying to teach you a pattern of development and growth. We'll also review some books and stuff like that. So moving on. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is the general knowledge test, right? So basically, to get your CDL, you must pass both the knowledge and skills test. The handbook, the California driver's license, CDL driver's license handbook, is basically it's not really a substitute for a truck driving training or anything like that. This just sort of gives you the general knowledge and things like that. Formal training that is required, formal training is the most reliable way to learn. So again, it just takes me back to doing like a school, stuff like that. But you definitely do not want to just read the handbook and think that that's going to be the solution, right? The next thing is it does require some special skills for safely driving a large CMV and becoming a professional driver in the trucking industry. Okay, so always keep that in mind. One of the tests is going to be a general knowledge test. Okay, so the commercial knowledge tests are available in English, Arabic, Chinese. I mean, just basically any language that you really need. To have it in. You must take one or more of the knowledge tests depending on what class of license you're looking to get. That also goes along with your endorsements. If you are adding any endorsements but not upgrading to a higher classification, the DMV will waive all knowledge and endorsement tests completed or waived on the previous application, including hazmat. If the new application is started within 12 months of the previous renewal date or original CDL issue date, the CDL knowledge test includes the following things for you. Okay, so general knowledge tests required to be taken by all applicants. That's always going to be a necessity. The passenger transport test also required to be taken by all bus drivers if that's the field you're trying to get into. Air brakes test is required to be taken by drivers of vehicles with air brakes, including air over hydraulic brakes. Okay, the combination vehicle test is required if you want to drive any combination vehicles, tractor trailers, things like that. The hazardous material test is required when you want to haul hazardous materials as defined by the CFR Title 49 in the state of California. To obtain this endorsement, you must pass the Transportation Security Administration TSA background check. So keep that in mind as well too. The tank vehicle test is required if you want to haul any liquid or gaseous materials in a tank or tank having an individual rated capacity of more than 119 gallons and aggregate rated capacity of 1,000 gallons or more, that is either permanently or temporarily attached to a vehicle chassis. There's also something that's called doubles and triples. You've probably seen these on the road in California. It's kind of these trucks that have almost two trailers, one being hauled, and then there's another one right behind it in small little, smaller portions, not a full 53-foot, combination. So basically, doubles, triples is required if you want to operate a double or triple type of combination in California. Now, I do have to point out that in California, triples are not allowed, but you can still get the endorsement if it's something that you want to do, and you might have to go to like Washington or something like that if you want to drive a triple trailer combination out there, okay? And then there is a firefighter endorsement, but obviously this is just if you're trying to be a firefighter out there, okay? Obviously, when you're taking these tests, you're not allowed to use any type of notes or things like that. It has to be all strictly from memory. You have to, basically learn this information, study it, and just really get familiar with it. So that way, when you go take the test, it'll just come back to you as you're doing it. Okay, so once again, this is a Paradigm Accretion channel. Please subscribe below. We're here to teach you guys a pattern of development and self-growth, and we'll also be reviewing some books as well too in future videos. Next thing I wanted to move on to is basically kind of give you a little bit detail of the skills test and how it's broken down by vehicle inspection and some basic control testing and things like that. Okay, so best place to start would be, is so if you pass the all the written tests, if you pass the required knowledge test, you can then take a CDL test. There are 3 types of skills tests that you are required to pass: vehicle inspection, basic controls, and the road test, formerly known as the drive test. You must take these tests, and the type of vehicle for which you will which you will be licensed. So again, like a doubles and triples and things like that, right? Any vehicle that has the components marked or labeled cannot be used for a vehicle inspection test. All skills tests must be conducted in English, and interpreter is prohibited for the CDL skills test. Okay, vehicle inspection test. You will be tested to see if you know whether your vehicle is safe to drive. You will be asked to do a vehicle inspection and explain to the examiner that you would inspect and why. This test takes approximately about 40 minutes. If you do not pass the vehicle inspection, the other tests will be postponed until you're ready at such time. Okay, there's no additional fee for retaking the vehicle inspection test on the same application. Just thought I'd share that as well too. Basic control test. Okay, so you will be tested on your skills to control the vehicle. You will be asked to move your vehicle forward, backward, turn to left and right. These areas may be marked with traffic lanes, cones, things like that. Basically, the DMV tester just wants to make sure that you know how to operate this vehicle properly. It is a very, very large vehicle. Again, some are going to be, you have a 53-foot trailer behind you. You're going to have a, 20-foot tractor being operated combined. You're looking at almost, close to 70, 80 feet. So you will be scored. You will be scored on your ability to properly perform each exercise. This test on the road the basic skills test will take about 30 minutes or so. If you fail the skills test, the the road test will be postponed again. So you basically have to be able to get a vehicle inspection, a basic control test done before you're actually taking that on the road. Okay, so always keep that in mind. Road test. This is the final part after you've done the vehicle inspection test and you've done the basic control skills test. Okay, in the road test, you will be tested on your skills to safely drive your commercial vehicle in a variety of traffic situations. The DMV will sort of specify that as they see fit. The situations may include left turns, right turns, intersections, railroads, crossings, up and down grades, single multi-lane road streets, or highways. The examiner will tell you where you need to drive. This test generally can take anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour. If you fail the road test, a retest fee is charged for each additional road test. So keep that in mind. You do not have, there's no additional fee for the vehicle inspection test. Okay. But there is going to be a fee for the basic control test and the road test. Okay. So always keep that in mind. And then once you go to the DMV and you pass all of this, you pass your vehicle inspection test and you pass your basic controls test, road test, you will get your driver's license, your commercial driver's license in the state of California. Okay. All right, folks, so continuing here in Paradigm Accretion channel, where we show you how to personal develop, growth, review books, things like that. So the next step I wanted to talk to you about in the process of getting your commercial driver's license. The medical documentation requirements. This is extremely important. Earlier in my video, I had said that if you wanted to figure out clinics or places where you can go take your physical test, to go to Google and type in National Registry locations, and it'll take you to a government website that will show you what clinics you can go take these tests at. Remember, if you don't take it, if you don't go get a physical certification from one of these nationally recognized clinics, you may potentially not be able to get your driver's license, your commercial driver's license. Okay, so always keep that in mind. Basically, the National Registry is a federal program establishing requirements for healthcare professionals that perform physical qualifications examinations for commercial vehicle drivers. This program was developed to improve highway safety and driver health by requiring medical examiners to be trained and certified so they can determine effectively whether somebody can or cannot handle a commercial vehicle, based on their fitness. If you're required to have a CDL as part of your job, your employer shall pay the cost of the examination unless it was performed before you applied for the position. So just keep that in mind. So basically, a CDL driver may start an application and take the law and vision test before submitting a medical report. Do not issue commercial licensing documents until the driver submits a qualifying medical report. CDL drivers, whether they're interstate or intrastate, who successfully pass commercial medical examinations, will submit their forms. It's usually 5, 6, 7, 8 pages. You'll submit those forms when applying for your commercial learner's permit, or even if you're updating it, same difference. Okay, so basically your medical card or MEC forms are completed by a U.S. licensed doctor of medicine, doctor or licensed physician, advanced practice registered nurse, or doctor, chiropractor, things like that. As long as they're listed on the National Registry of Certified Medical Examiners as clinically competent to perform the medical examination to be given to the DMV with your original application for the commercial learner's permit. Okay, when submitting your medical examination review, you are only required to submit pages 1 through 4 along with the certificate. This should have all the information that is required. Okay, The medical examiner must complete and sign the form for you to carry in when you go into the DMV. You can be given a citation if you do not have this, or if you are driving with an expired medical certification. I've known cases where drivers have literally had to be shut down and go get picked up for not having this. I knew a driver who lived all the way in California, and they had to send a driver all the way to the border of New York and Canada to get him, because he didn't know that he was driving with an expired medical card. Okay, so as you can imagine, that can get very costly, very tedious, very, cause the company you're working for, if you're working for a company, to go through that process. Okay. Any non-commercial driver previously required to submit a medical report, ambulance driver, van pool drivers, freeway service patrol truck drivers are required to submit a medical examiner report. Okay, so we're gonna shift a little bit sideways here and kind of go over the difference between interstate and intrastate commerce. So non-accepted interstate means that you are expected to operate. All right, so just real quick, right, I wanted to go over this intrastate commerce situation. So just want to very briefly say, so non-accepted interstate, basically what that means is a driver will operate or expects to operate a commercial vehicle in interstate commerce and subject to and meets the qualification requirements under CFR Title 49, the license that does not restrict the transport, origination, or destination of the load to be transported in the following. Okay, interstate commerce means trade, traffic, or transportation in the United States that is between a place in a state and a place outside, such as a state, including place outside of the United States. Okay, two places in the state through another state, or a place outside of the United States. Two places in the state as part of trade, traffic, or transportation originating or terminating outside of the U.S. Now, there's a difference between that and non-accepted intrastate. So again, that was interstate, this is intrastate. So intrastate means operates or expects to operate in intrastate commerce and required to meet qualification requirements under CFR Title 49. The cargo and passengers must originate and end in California. Okay, so this strictly restricts you to being inside of the state of California. Okay, especially more specifically while driving commercial vehicle. Okay, interstate commerce means trade, traffic, or transportation in the U.S. between two places in the state as part of trade, traffic, or transportation originating or terminating inside the state. Keep this in mind. If you self-certify as operating non-accepted intrastate, your commercial driver's license and driver record will reflect CDL Intrastate only, which means you will not be able to drive from California into another state. So make sure that's clear. Intrastate means inside of California, you're staying inside the state. Interstate means you do want to go to another state. All right, folks, so continuing here on the paradigm accretion, now moving on from the intrastate, interstate situation, and basically just want to continue further on giving you some more information on what could potentially qualify or disqualify you. In this case, I'm going to talk to you about the commercial driver's license disqualifications, because I think it's a very important point as well. Please keep in mind this is all general information, and again, it's all public record, and it can be found at the California Department of Motor Vehicles website or their Department of Motor Vehicles commercial driver's license handbook. Okay, now this is again very important. Alcohol is one of the primary factors that you can potentially get your license revoked or be disqualified. Okay, so just so you know, it is illegal to operate a commercial vehicle if your blood alcohol level is 0.04. Okay, percentage or more. If you operate a CMV, a commercial vehicle, you shall be deemed to have given your consent to alcohol testing. So at any given time, by having a commercial driver's license in the state of California, you can be selected for a random test at the point of an accident, or just for random reasons. Okay. Now, again, should you test 0.04 or higher, you will lose your CDL for at least 1 year for the first offense. A couple other points to keep in mind: driving a commercial vehicle under the influence of alcohol is illegal. Refusing to undergo a blood alcohol test is also a form of, even if you don't take it, even if you don't take it when you refuse, you're basically admitting guilt. Not necessarily in those terms, but they will take it as such. Okay, driving a commercial vehicle while under the influence of any controlled substance is illegal. Committing a felony involving the use of a commercial vehicle is also a way to get disqualified. Driving a commercial vehicle when the CDL is suspended or revoked, obviously not a good idea to do either. Driving a commercial vehicle when the CDL is, excuse me, causing a fatality through negligent operation while operating a commercial vehicle, and that would be under some type of an investigation, right? Something to keep in mind, that you will lose your CDL for at least 3 years if one of these offenses occurs while you are operating a commercial vehicle. Okay, you got to keep that in mind. You will also lose your commercial driver's license for life if a second offense is committed. Okay, you will also be put out of service for 24 hours if you have any deductible amount of alcohol under the 0.04 percentage. So just keep in mind that it's never worth it to have a beer or anything like that. I mean, if you're gonna drive, obviously the safe bet is to just not touch the stuff. Okay, the 15 years that I drove, I mean, yes, I drank, but I would wait till the weekends, and I would only drink like on a Friday or a Saturday, and then I just wouldn't drink excessively or at all Sundays, as I prepared myself to go into Monday, when I would work Monday through Friday as a truck driver myself. It's your livelihood. You could potentially kill a lot of people, kill yourself, kill several other people. So you always just got to be, it's a serious thing. I mean, you are operating an 80,000 pound monster that can lose control like that in a blink of a second. So it really just is not worth to take any type of risk while out there. Okay. The next thing I'd like to talk about is there's also potential reasons to lose your driver's license, your CDL, for traffic violations. So, in the state of California, you're only really allowed to drive at 55 miles per hour if you have a tractor trailer combination. I know all the other vehicles drive at 65, but in California is one of those unique states where you basically only really operate at that speed. And then they expect you, and they're sometimes very strict about it. There's a little bit of leeway here and there, but you honestly don't want to push it. Again, this is how you pay your bills. This is how you feed your family. This is how you provide for your family. Why would you risk it? Just don't do it. Again, I did it for 15 years. Never made any sense to me to operate in an unsafe manner. Especially if you're hourly, why would you rush? If you're expected to drive at a certain speed, drive at that certain speed, get there safely, return safely. Keep in mind that your family can potentially be on the road when a negligent driver is out there. So if you're a driver, you don't want to be a negligent driver out there, and you don't want negligent drivers around your family. Again, in a split second, driving a 80,000 pound monster can potentially cause, death or serious injuries, lifelong injuries. All right. So moving on to the next topic here, I wanted to address some weight limits on some of these cargo vehicles that you would potentially be using when you get your CDL. Kind of just a brief explanation on some of the different weights and classifications and some of the California Vehicle Code that I think it's important that you all should know in adding this part to the video. So again, we are Paradigm Accretion. We are a channel where it's about creating a pattern of personal development, and we'll also do some book reviews and things like that. The idea is here to be able to grow. Okay, so weight limits, right? Weight limits and logs. Weight limits is basically something that's applied to your vehicles when transporting any type of material under the CVC or California Vehicle Code 35552 and 35785. Such additional weight may not be transported on interstate highways. Okay, so the way this works is it's broken down into the axles. Okay, so you have your steering axles, then you have your tandem axles, which is the pair of axles that are on the actual tractor, and then you have your final tandem axles on the trailer. Depending on what state you are, that could potentially represent it could be 3 axles if you're in a state like Washington. I know it's a lot over there. In California it's not. And just like in Washington, you're allowed to have up to three trailers in the back, where in California you're not allowed to exceed a certain limit, and you're not allowed to have triples, only doubles. Okay, so weight to axle ratio per the California Vehicle Code 35551. Okay, highways and bridges are designed to carry only a certain amount of weight per foot of the distance between axles. Vehicles carrying heavy loads must not put too much weight on any point. The limitations are shown in the tables found in the California Handbook or the California Vehicle Code 35551 and 35551.5. The total gross weight in pounds placed on the highway by any group of 2 or more consecutive axles must not exceed that of the given respective distance in the table. In addition to this information, the weight specified in the previously mentioned table or 2 consecutive sets of tandem axles may carry a gross weight of 34,000 pounds each if the distance between the first and last axle of the sets of axles is 36 feet or more. The gross weight on each set of tandem axles must not exceed 34,000 pounds. Now keep in mind, 34,000 pounds is a very important number. Okay, so it does not exceed 34,000 pounds, and the gross weight on the 2 consecutive sets of the tandem axles must not exceed 68,000 pounds. Now, why do I say that's an important number? Because remember, in California, the max gross vehicle weight you can have is 80,000 pounds. So if you take 34,000 pounds between your, let's say that's what your final axle on the back of your trailer weighs, and then your other axles on the tractor also weigh 34,000 pounds, that's 68,000 pounds. So what does that leave the front steering axles? That cannot exceed 12,000 pounds. So now let's do the math, right? If you have 80,000 pounds and you subtract 68,000, you're going to see that gives you 12,000 pounds. So typically that's the main weights you want to have. Your steering axles, you want to have 12,000 pounds. Your drive axles on your tractor, 34,000, and then the final set of tandem axles in the back need to have 34,000 pounds. Between those, it adds to a total of 80,000. Now, in certain cases, it's been okay if you go above 100 pounds, 200 pounds, things like that. But honestly, that really just depends on the particular officer that you're running into on any given day. So better, if you know you're pushing the 80,000 pounds, get yourself to a scale house. Get all your axles weighted out. Just make sure you're hitting that ratio where it's 12,000, 34,000, and 34,000 pounds. Okay, that way you don't put yourself in a situation where they shut you down and you can't move anymore, and you have to get a forklift or a rental or something like that to come and either take stuff off your truck or adjust it, because that's honestly just a waste of time and money. Okay. All right, so yeah, continuing on a final note here, I wanted to get into a couple of things here for you, such as the permits and the importance of permits, how they can save you a lot of money down the road in your career, should you choose to make this a career, right? I mean, essentially, you're going to be driving a profiled vehicle that's extremely big. So, there's going to be times where you can't drive into residential zones without a permit. There's going to be times where you can't even take certain streets because they have those restrictions. So, as good practice, once you become a CDL driver, what you want to do is, plan your route. Nowadays, we have so much technology available to us that you should be able to plan your route, get the address, see where you're going, check out those streets, take a look at the satellite pictures, stuff like that. Call the delivery site and say, hey, what's the best way to get there? Are there any roads that you're aware that, commercial drivers, I have a 53-foot, tractor trailer combo. Is there going to be any issues making a delivery there? And they should be able to tell you some of this information. You should also be able to look that information up. Nowadays you can purchase like a Garmin or a specific GPS that will actually, you pay a membership and it will actually tell you if those areas are restricted or not. And I think that's a very useful tool. Save you a lot of time, a lot of headaches, and down the road can keep you from making costly mistakes. Okay. Driving into areas you're not supposed to, where you end up getting a ticket, right? All right, so so that's the reason why permits are important, right? Transporting oversized an extra legal load without a permit is a punishable fine, even jail time, depending on how extreme the situation is, right? Excess load penalties may also be imposed and stuff like that. It is against the law in California to drive or move in any street or highway any vehicle that is wider or higher than or heavier than the limits described here. Keep in mind, these are only specific to California. So if you have any questions, you can try to submit them in the comment section, and I'll try to do my best to respond to your questions. Okay, so motor carrier permit. Any person who operates a commercial vehicle either for hire or privately not for hire must still obtain a motor carrier permit in the state of California under the California Vehicle Code 34620. Basically, the motor carrier permit is a permit that states that you will be carrying material and things like that. The motor carrier permit's definition per se is any self-propelled vehicle listed under the California Vehicle Codes 34500 A, B, F, G, and K. Okay. A motor truck with 2 or more axles weighing more than 10,000 pounds in gross vehicle weight ratio, or other motor vehicles used to transport for hire. Okay, so you must keep in mind those permits. Another permit that I think is extremely important that I need to talk about is the Unified Carrier Registration. Okay, interstate or foreign motor carriers property must obtain a Unified Carrier Registration, or UCR, as outlined in the final regulation issued by the Federal Unified Carrier Registration Act of 2005. UCR fees can be paid online at ucr.in.gov. To obtain UCR forms and information, visit the Department of Motor Vehicles or the dmv.ca.gov, or you can also write them and call them as well too. Okay. All right, folks, so we're getting into the final minutes here of our first video here at Paradigm Accretion. I want to thank all of you who have stuck around and kind of partaken in this new video with us. I thought it'd be fun, just as a bonus, to throw a couple more things at you. Again, Paradigm Accretion, what we do here is we try to create a pattern of development and growth. We're also going to be reviewing some books from time to time, and allowing people to post their comments and their thoughts on all these books and some of the videos that we do. I'm open to whatever information you want to throw at us. We're not going to be a channel that's going to be sensitive or anything like that. Obviously we would expect and appreciate some respect. But hey, it's a free country. It's free speech. Whatever you want to express, however you want to express it, we're totally okay with that. We'll take the good with the bad. All right. So again, the channel is Paradigm Accretion. The point here is for us to grow and develop a pattern of consistent growing. That's what accretion means, right? You're consistently, in the combination with paradigm, it's creating a pattern of growth. Okay, so the reason I said this topic I'm about to address right now is kind of fun for me is because I think it's kind of funny that California, now we're moving into a little bit into some other states, but California is always led as being one of those funny states that just really likes to restrict people. And again, we're in a country where we really don't like to sort of deal with this. Having our government restrict us. It's important though. It is important that we do need to have some basic structure, some basic rules. Again, I've said it multiple times throughout this video. If you're driving an 80,000 pound vehicle and you don't have any respect for it, it can get ugly really, really fast. You can kill yourself or you can kill a lot of people. And that's something definitely that I don't want. And I want to convey that, we do want to be as safe as possible. I'm all about safety. In my career as a logistics and transportation manager, safety has been above everything. It just has to be. Because without safety, you can have guys constantly delivering, hurting themselves, hurting other people, creating chaos, and you're not delivering anything. So safety has to be a core value in your career or in your business if that's what you're trying to do. But nevertheless, again, just for the purpose of this video, to try to have a little bit of fun, I'm going to go over the speed limits and a couple little points there. So so speed limits. In California, the maximum speed limit is 55 miles per hour for any vehicle of the following specifications, okay? So a truck or tractor having 3 or more axles must follow the 55 miles per hour in California. I live just north of Los Angeles in a little small town, and there is some areas where, like, if you're trying to get to like Bakersfield, Fresno and stuff like that, they post that you can drive at 70. However, that does not apply to any commercial vehicle drivers that are driving a commercial vehicle. You must still follow these rules. It's 55 miles per hour for you. If you have a regular car that is not under federal regulations or DOT regulations or FMCSA regulations, then you may follow that speed limit posted of 70 miles per hour. But again, commercial vehicles with the following specifications is 55 miles per hour. A vehicle pulling any other vehicle must follow the speed limit of 55 miles per hour. A school bus transporting students or pupils and teachers must follow the 55 mile per hour rule. Farm labor vehicles transporting passengers must also follow the rule of 55 miles per hour. Of course, any vehicle transporting explosives must follow the 55 mile per hour rule. Finally, a trailer or bus as well. Okay. For all other vehicles, the maximum speed limit of California is mostly 65. However, for 2-lane undivided highways, the maximum speed limit is 55 unless the speed limit is posted, as I said earlier. Sometimes that could be maximum of 70 miles per hour. Okay. Another thing, no person in California shall drive at such a slow speed as to impede or block normal traffic. So again, even if you're in a commercial vehicle and you feel the need that you must drive slower, don't do this, because if you are impeding traffic, even that can be cause for you to get a citation. Okay, and obviously you definitely don't want that. It's also very important to point out that when you're in a commercial vehicle, you must always stick to the farthest lane on the right. That's just a California Vehicle Code 22406. So the vehicles listed under that vehicle code must be driven in the designated lane or lanes when signs are posted. Okay, when no signs are posted, these vehicles must drive in the right hand traffic lane or as close as possible to the right edge of the curb on a divided highway with 4 or more traffic lanes in one direction. These vehicles may also be driven in the lane just to the left of the right hand lane when overtaking or passing another vehicle going the same direction. Drivers of such vehicles must use either 1, the designated lane, 2, the lane just to the left of the right hand lane, or number 3, right hand traffic when when the lane such use is permitted. Okay. Designated systems access. Designated system access does not apply to a driver who is either preparing for a left or right hand turn, 2, in the process of entering or exiting a highway, 3, driving in a lane other than the right hand lane to continue on the intended route. Buses, except school buses or trailers, may drive in a lane as long as they are not towing any other vehicles. Okay. Movement off or onto the designated system of freeway, highway, larger trucks are allowed, and in interchanges or exits which have the following signs. Okay. That sign could be movement that is allowed and signed routes to reach terminals, or movement is allowed up to 1 mile from the identified exits. Okay, there's a slow vehicle rule out there. This is just a quick one. On a 2-lane highway where passing an unsafe, slow moving vehicle with 5 or more vehicles behind it, it must turn off the roadway and the nearest place designated by these signs as a turnout, or wherever sufficient area for a safe turnout exists to let the following vehicles pass. Folks, this is Paradigm Accretion, where we're trying to create a pattern of development and growth for everybody. We're also be doing some reviews on some books here as we read those. Just want to take the time right now to thank everybody for sticking around as I close out this video. Final thing I'm going to talk to you about today is hours of service and how that works. Okay, so hours of service is basically the rules and regulations in California. These are federal rules as well too. But basically it's the number of hours that you're allowed to physically drive, the number of hours that you're allowed to physically be on duty, and how many hours you need to be out resting consecutively in order for you to be able to reset and come back the next day to work. Okay, there's tons of issues with this because people always want to work more than 11 hours. And so our federal government has really cracked down on some of these rules when it comes to the hours of service. Okay, so again, hours of service. You are required to comply with California's driver's hours of service regulations when you are involved in an intrastate commerce. You are considered to be involved in interstate commerce when you do not cross state line, transport cargo which originated from another state, transport cargo destined outside of California, transport any hazardous substance or waste under CFR Title 49. Okay, other rules that apply to this as well. You are required to comply with the federal driver hours of service regulation, which you are involved. If you are involved in interstate commerce, you are considered to be involved in interstate commerce when the cargo you transport originates out of state, is destined for out of state, or consists of hazardous materials, substances, waste under CFR Title 49, or any of the combination that I just mentioned above. Okay, so it is extremely important in California, who the CHP are the ones who regulate some of the hours of service for us. Driver records of on-duty and off-duty status are extremely key. And very important. Okay, CHP is authorized to develop additional safety and driving regulations, and a driver's record of duty status must be used to record all of the driver's hours drivers of commercial vehicles must be in compliance with the hours of service requirements per CFR Title 49. Okay, basically, a driver record of duty status must be kept in duplicate by each driver and each co-driver while driving on duty, but not necessarily driving or resting in the sleeper berth. The record of duty must be presented for inspection immediately upon request of any CHP officer or employee, any regularly employed and salaried police officer, or deputy sheriff. There may be instances when you do not need to maintain a record of duty status. Accident reporting as of January 1st, 2017. Every driver involved in an accident which results in death, injury, or property damage of over $1,000 must report the accident on a report of traffic accidents occurring in California under CR1 form to the DMV. Report the form and report those forms to the DMV at dmv.ca.gov by calling CHP at 916-675-6677. That's once again CHP. Number is 916-675-6677. You go just directly with the DMV. You are authorized and must submit the report within 10 days of the accident, whether you caused the accident or not. And even if the accident occurred in private property, you must report it. The CR1 is required in addition to report any other incident by law enforcement or insurance company if the accident resulted in damage of over $1,000 and or injury of death. If you do not report the accident to the DMV, your driving privileges can and would be suspended if found negligent. On a final note here, and I'll close it out with this note: CDL holders may downgrade to a non-commercial driver's license during any mandatory suspension period in order to be eligible to obtain a restricted driver's license. In order to regain your CDL, all knowledge, skill tests, and fees will be required. And finally, California law states that you must notify your employer within 5 days if you have an accident while driving your employer's vehicle under California Vehicle Code 16002. However, your employer may require you to notify them immediately. Alright folks, we've come to the end of the video. Again, this is the Paradigm Accretion channel, where we're trying to create a pattern of growth and personal development, and we're also going to be doing some reviews on books. I want to thank you all for your time today. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit me up with any questions that you might have. You all have a great evening.